3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, always streaming on YouTube, and you could catch us on the free Odyssey app. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Cam Jordan of the Saints is going to stop by at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time today, 1:20 p.m. Pacific. Cam Lewis of the Buffalo Bills, he's going to join us at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific time. So I was going to start the show shredding the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to really start the show shredding the Jacksonville Jaguars, but for a similar but also different reason. So today we find out that Liam Cohen, who many thought was going to be the next head football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, says, I'm going to pull a Ben Johnson. I am not going to be a head coach this year. I'm going to wait until future years, probably next year, and I'm going to stay where I'm comfortable in Tampa Bay, and I will reassess things, whether that's becoming the head coach in Tampa Bay a year from now or going elsewhere, next season. And I saw that, and I said, look at the Jaguars, where you have Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't been great, but people think you could make it work with Trevor. You have a good pass rusher in Josh Hines-Allen. You have a very good wide receiver who showed superstar potential this year in Brian Thomas Jr. in his rookie season. And you play in a division where Tennessee can't get out of their own way. Indianapolis is a joke. And the one strong team in the AFC South are the Houston Texans, who are good, but they are not as a team that is this unmovable force that is unbelievable. So I saw Ben Johnson said no to the Jaguars. He's now introduced today as the coach of the Bears. And basically, Liam Cohen said thanks but no thanks to the Jaguars. So why was that? And it was because the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I don't know what photos Trent Baalke had of Shad Khan, but for whatever the reasons are, after they got rid of Doug Peterson, they said they were going to keep Trent Baalke, even though you had Shad Khan with Trent Baalke adjacent to him on a Zoom saying, hey, if a new coach comes in and it's not just based off of ego, but he gives me a compelling reason why we should keep Mr. Baalke, then I'll maybe say, okay, we'll keep him, or I'll have no problem getting rid of him. You know, if the new coach comes in and says, I give you a compelling reason why to get rid of him, he'll get out of business with Trent Baalke. But think about that. You're asking, in all likelihood, a first-time head coach, and this could be a ruthless business, to find a way on his first impression to be a guy that is somewhat well-liked in that organization in Trent Baalke, because that's the only justification I have of him keeping his job with his track record, and walking in right away and getting him fired. Like, why would you put that onus on whoever you wanted your new head coach to be? And that's why, up until we got this news a few seconds ago, which I'll get to in just a second, I was under the impression once Liam Cohen said no, that you're going to have to settle for someone like Robert Saleh, who should not be a head coach in this cycle, but it's because people are crossing off the Jaguars off their list because Trent Baalke is still there and the presence of Trent Baalke is still there. Well, if you thought that the Jaguars, with the way that I described them, were already a circus, now they are a mitigated disaster and the definition of a huge, and I mean a huge, clown show. That's what the Jaguars are. They are a backwards circus. So you keep Baalke when everyone said you should fire him. You missed out on Ben Johnson. Liam Cohen said, no, I'm not going there, and I'm going to stay in Tampa Bay. And then it takes Liam Cohen basically leaving you out the altar, is the way that I interpret it, for Shad Khan with his mustache to finally say, oh, yeah, maybe I should get rid of Trent Baalke. Because that's what the Jaguars just did moments ago. According to Ian Rappaport, the Jacksonville Jaguars have fired Trent Baalke. So now you're going to try to go get, I guess, someone better than Robert Saleh? It's not tough to do, but I really think Ben Johnson could have been your next head coach. Because a lot of the feeling was, leading up until the announcement that Trent Baalke was coming back, even though we were all talking about Ben Johnson in Chicago, a lot of people believe Ben Johnson, right as the search really started, was going to go to Jacksonville for all the reasons that I laid out why the Jaguars are a little bit more attractive than I thought. And I remember James Palmer being on with us, and James Palmer said, well, he thought going into the weekend that Ben Johnson, a few weekends ago, was going to be the next Jaguars coach. But the moment they said, Trent Baalke's coming back, he heard that perception and that belief of Ben Johnson going to Jacksonville dramatically change. So you're already out with Ben Johnson. Now the question is, after Liam Cohen basically today said thanks but no thanks, what are you, going back to Liam Cohen's palatial estate in Tampa with the boombox holding it up and screaming, baby, come back? Is that what you're doing today? And that's what it feels like. But even if you end up getting Liam Cohen, it could work with Trevor Lawrence. It could work with Brian Thomas Jr. on the defensive side of the ball, having Josh Hines-Allen playing in a pretty easy division. It could ultimately work. But how you got there was a disaster and an absolute bleep show. So it took Liam Cohen saying no, not Ben Johnson, but Liam Cohen, for Shad Khan to be like, aha, I got to get rid of Trent Baalke. Now, maybe Liam Cohen still goes there. But if I'm Liam Cohen, I would say, get the bleep off my front lawn. Why would I want to go jump on the Titanic when it's sinking? Because Liam Cohen wanted to go there, I think. But he didn't want to go there if Trent Baalke was there. And now Baalke isn't there, but you're already fractured beyond repair in the perception now of your franchise. And you know what? If we're going to sit here and slam all these incompetent owners, whether, we talked about David Tepper, who actually got out of his way this year, but we talked about David Tepper in the past. We talked about the drama show that Jerry Jones loves to operate, the incompetence of a Jim Irsay. We got to talk about Shad Khan as well. Shad Khan completely, in this entire buildup to today, he not only dropped the ball, tried to recover it, then had the ball in his hands, and he kicked it 50 yards down the field instead of picking it up. That's what Shad Khan did. Everyone in America, besides you, and people close to you, knew it was the right decision to get to Trent Baalke. And you also fired the coach who's won a Super Bowl. You fired him. So if you fired Doug Peterson, he deserved it. Why aren't you getting rid of the GM? And you wait until Liam frickin' Cohen, right? Last time I checked, Liam Cohen, good offensive coordinator. He's not the greatest offensive mind in the history of football. He said no, and now it's like, oh, man, we'll finally get rid of Trent Baalke. I'm sorry. I know the Jaguars, and I said when this search started, before we knew that Baalke was coming back, that they could be the most attractive job in the market. I may rather coach the Saints that got nothing right now. I may rather coach the Saints. I may even rather coach the Raiders. And I'm not saying that, hey, Mickey Loomis is great. I'm not saying that the Raiders have great ownership. But Shad Khan, you don't know the difference between your elbow and your ass right now. You don't. This is on Shad Khan. This is pathetic. This is beyond pathetic. This is beyond being a clown show. This is beyond being a circus. None of this makes any sense. I'm not even a Jaguars fan. But I'm furious because this is the definition of incompetent organizations making incompetent decisions. And I remember those fans a few years ago. They dressed up like clowns. Oh, you know what? They knew a lot more than we did because this organization is a clown show. A clown show. And if you're a head coach, and I know it's one of 32 jobs, now Baalke's out, okay, you can at least say it's somewhat attractive with Lawrence and Thomas and Josh Hines-Allen and easy peasy division, all that stuff. I made the case 9,000 times already. But with that owner and how he couldn't see that getting rid of Trent Baalke was a good idea until you had head coaching candidates, two hot head coaching candidates say thanks, but no thanks. Geez, then you're more delirious and delusional than I even thought Shad Khan was before this search started. This really pisses me off. This is crazy. You should have known it was dumb when you were on a Zoom doing a press conference saying, yeah, we're bringing back Trent Baalke. We're bringing him back, but, new GM, he's here, this guy Baalke, but a new coach comes in, and if he doesn't want him, if he gives me a good reason, then Trent Baalke will be out. Like, what? It's not tough to give a good reason why Trent Baalke shouldn't be the GM. Oh, my goodness gracious. This is wild. And it's funny how this works. We were going to start the show shredding the Jaguars. Right? I was going to be at like a 3 out of 10 shredding the Jaguars. I'm not at a 10 out of 10. Because the guy that we were going to attack the most, Trent Baalke and Shad Khan, well, Baalke's now out of the organization. What took so long? Oh, all 37 Jaguars fans, I feel for you right now. I really feel for you right now in Duval. Now, I know it's like bitter cold right now in Florida, but man, the Jaguars right now, they are a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. This is crazy. I never thought I would get this heated over the Jacksonville freaking Jaguars. But I'm fuming. I am furious because this guy, Shad Khan, oh my God. Stu, you know what? You should be happy. At least Shad Khan doesn't own your football team. Because the fact that they took this long and they told everybody that Baalke's the GM, we're keeping him, when everyone was laughing at them, like Liam Cohen, he's the guy that makes you realize this. Nothing against him. Knows McVay, worked for McVay, been back and forth with Kentucky, done a good job in Tampa Bay. But they were convinced Liam Cohen was gonna take the job, and that's how they were gonna pivot after Ben Johnson went to the Bears. But when Liam Cohen's like, I like your job, but not with Trent Baalke, so I'm going back to Tampa, that was the light bulb that went off in the crazy cabeza of Shad Khan to finally get him to say, oh, now we got to get rid of Trent Baalke. Huh. Crazy. So here's the statement from the Jaguars. I'm reading this for the first time. Let's see how, I'm at a 10 right now. Maybe this statement will put me to a 48. Put me past more a number than the more amount of fans that the Jaguars have. Sorry, Jacksonville. That's not that nice. Full statement from the Jaguars via Rap Sheet, Ian Rappaport. Owner Shad Khan. Following several discussions with Trent Baalke this week, we both arrived at the conclusion that it is in our mutual best interest to respectfully separate, effective immediately. Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts over the 5 past seasons. Ethan Wow will serve as an interim general manager and will play an important role with others as we continue the process of interviewing candidates to serve as our new head coach. I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. Wah, 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 wah. Stu, I don't know how you think on this one. They got to call Liam Cohen back and say, hey, you were right, we were wrong. I'm ugly, you're hot. I'm an idiot. You're the smartest person in the world. And we're not, instead of getting it right when you mess up with your girlfriend, like a ring or a necklace or something, we got rid of Trent Baalke for you. But Liam Cohen, never been a head coach before, is a hot name now, will be even a hotter name next year. Is he supposed to then tell the Jaguars, yeah, they did what they wanted him to do, but after today, leaking it out that you didn't want to go there anymore and you wanted to stay in Tampa Bay, you really going to go join that team after what they had to end up doing to get you what you wanted, but the way they got there was just a sloppy, and I mean a sloppy process.
Yeah, if you're Liam Cohen, you can't. I mean, look,
it'd be embarrassing.
It'd be embarrassing. Trevor Lawrence is good, but it's not like there's not going to be a better opportunity with a better quarterback or a young rookie quarterback next year that he can go to. It's not the end-all, be-all. So if I'm him, I would stay away. I'm kind of with you. I thought this was one of the better jobs, and now, a couple weeks later, I think it's one of the worst jobs easily available.
I wouldn't touch this job now with a 10-foot pole. And I like this job. I was on an island. People are like, oh, take the Bears. Oh, take the Jets. Oh, go here, go there. I'm like, no. I go, Jaguars, best job. If I'm a young coach, not a lot of pressure, easy division. You got some core there. If you think you can fix Trevor Lawrence, great. But this owner, Shad Khan, this is his day of reckoning, I'll tell you that. Shad Khan's just always been an owner in this league, right? Has always just been an owner, like for the last decade. Oh, yeah, he's there, fine. Now, I don't think anyone's ever had an opinion on Shad Khan that's like, oh, I can't stand him or oh, I love him. He's one of the owners, right? Owner that just blends right in the middle. But now, this is a level of incompetence that I would say I haven't seen in a long time, but we see a lot of incompetence with NFL owners. It's amazing how these guys have this much money. But this is a level of incompetence where it puts you in that running of maybe being one of the more incompetent owners in the NFL. Whew. This is something. This is how you know I'm really heated. When I'm already 15 minutes into the show, folding up all the notes that Samter gives me before the show, and I'm just shredding the paper pretty much and just trying to hold back all my frustration. Oh, my God. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, let's see what we're talking about. Well, let's get to the Jets. The Jets made a decision today to make Aaron Glenn their next head coach. What does it mean for the future of Aaron Rodgers? We'll discuss that when we come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show on a busy, and I mean busy Wednesday, where, you know what? Santa, I love you. Stu, I love you. You guys aren't in Trent Baalke status. Don't worry. We're keeping you here. We're not getting rid of anybody. All right, we're not getting rid of anybody. But the Jaguars, we're keeping Trent Baalke, and then he's gone. After Ben Johnson was like, don't even talk to me, right? Ben Johnson was the hot girl at the prom, and he's like, oh, maybe interested in you, but now, yeah, you give me the ick. And then they thought they were going to get their rebound with Liam Cohen. And then the rebound option said, no, thank you. So then let's get rid of Trent Baalke. How it took them that long. My, oh, my. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Shad Khan. Jeez. I don't think I'll be seeing him on Radio Row. I don't think we'll be having Tony and Shad on this year, I'll tell you that. That's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. How you made Trent Baalke stay there as the GM when everyone knew he should have been sent packing and sent walking. And then ultimately you end up firing him because so many coaches were like, yeah, we don't want to do that. Like, Stu, imagine if I said to you, you could come, like, let's say, work for an NFL team, right? You're going to be the head coach. First time doing this. But you knew down deep that the GM wasn't the right guy, and they basically put all the decision-making on you to be the one to say it when they didn't have the guts to just fire the guy because what? Trent Baalke is friendly with Shad Khan. So you have to walk into an organization that you never worked for before, right? And people lose their job and a new coach comes in. But there's people in that organization that are going to stay, which maybe they like Trent Baalke. And you're going to walk in and right away the first impression you have to give off is you saying, yeah, I want the GM out. Because the GM should not be a GM in the NFL anymore. And how Shad Khan, you know where Shad Khan lost? You want to keep Baalke and tell everyone to bleep off, that's fine. But when you keep Baalke and you say, hey, we'll keep him as long as the new head coach wants him, pretty much, that shows why you had to get rid of the guy. And even Ben Johnson saying, yeah, I'm not going to go there. That wasn't enough. And it took until Liam Cohen. That's what it took for Shad Khan to eventually be like, oh boy, we couldn't even get our backup plan. You know, we were shooting for the stars of Ben Johnson, but we couldn't get our backup plan. So now they're going to say goodbye to Trent Baalke. What a disaster. Like, imagine what you would feel like as a new head coach having to walk in and you knew that the fate of the GM relied on you either saying yes or no. Like, that's, from a human standpoint and a business standpoint, that's just not a good model. Like, that's Stu, that's a sad, pathetic model. It really is.
It is. And if you're Liam Cohen, you have to bet on yourself, right? Like, you can't be like, okay, you can't go with the mindset that I need this job and this is the only job that's going to come up. You have to believe in yourself and, you know, there'll be a better job next year for him.
And I think it would be embarrassing now if Liam Cohen took that job. Like, you won the power play. You did. Like, if you got hired there and then you got rid of Trent Baalke, yeah, it's awkward. But you won a power play for a job that's not even yours yet. Like, it'd be one thing if they hired you and then you won. But before you even get there, you already said, no, I'm going back to the NFL, like the situation I'm in right now with Tampa Bay. And the team is so desperate to get you that in a last-ditch effort, they're then going to say, oh, yeah, Trent Baalke is out. And that's how they're going to try to win. It's too late. The damage is already done. The damage is already done on that front. That's just sloppy. And I mean a sloppy, sloppy process by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's get to the Jets. So, no surprise, Aaron Glenn is now the new head football coach of the JETS, Jets. That's the reporting on that front. So, Aaron Glenn going to the Jets, I think there's two reactions from the Jets fan. Reaction number one, well, it didn't work out for Robert Saleh, right? So why should I sit here and automatically believe that it's going to work out for Aaron Glenn? Like, we were just told Robert Saleh, new defensive coordinator, new head coach, leader of men, all that stuff, first time being a head coach. It didn't work out for him. So why should I automatically believe that it's going to work out for Aaron Glenn? Like, that's a thought that you could have. The other part is, all right, this is a good hire. Like, he was a hot commodity. He played for the organization. He worked in the organization after he played. He obviously wanted the job. This is home for him. So let's see if they could turn it around. But I think the most fascinating part, whether you like the hire or not, is now there is a theme from a lot of people. I heard Lomas Brown yesterday, Michael Kay, longtime New York talk show host and the voice of the Yankees, where he's saying that he's heard, and Lomas Brown also heard, that if Aaron Glenn is the coach of the Jets, which now we know he is, that this means Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback next year. That's the belief, that Aaron Glenn prefers that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. Now, there was this belief that Woody Johnson did not want Aaron Rodgers back next year. So maybe Woody Johnson still says, hey, we don't want him back. But if that's the case in Aaron Glenn, if that's true, if he was adamant that Aaron Rodgers would be the quarterback next year, then I don't think he would take the job if Woody Johnson, unless if Woody's just lying to him, doesn't give him the assurance that as long as Aaron wants to be here, that Aaron will be here for 2025. And that's the other part of the conversation, too. What does Aaron Rodgers want? Because who knows with Aaron Rodgers? He could go to Egypt. He could go do some ayahuasca. He could go into a cave. Like, you have no clue what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. But Aaron Rodgers, if he wants to play football next year, if it's not with the Jets, then where are you going? Like, I'm looking at the options right now. They're outside of the Jets. There's not an option in the AFC East. In the AFC West, you want to go work, you want to go be a quarterback of the Raiders and have no one? Like, outside of Brock Bowers and Max Crosby? Now, I know, right, him and Brady probably have a relationship, but I don't think the Raiders would be attractive. The AFC North, you want to go quarterback the Brownies for a year? That's where you want your career to end, Cleveland? I don't know if the Steelers would be interested. Steelers could be attractive. AFC South? You're not, like, I know you have a house in Tennessee, but Tennessee doesn't have much there. So, like, where are you going? And you want to stay in New Jersey and go play for the Giants? They don't have, outside of Malik Neighbors, they don't have much cooking for them. So where's the destination? If it, like, you want to be like Brett Favre, go from the Jets to the Vikings? I mean, tell Sam Darnold go somewhere else. J.J. McCarthy wait another year. There's not an option out there that if Aaron Rodgers is not back with the Jets next year, outside of Pittsburgh, and you could argue maybe Cleveland, but Cleveland's different than what it was a few years ago, right? They had a lot of talent. They still have a lot of talent. But that offensive line not as strong as it once was. Nick Chubb now has multiple injuries. Amari Cooper is no longer there. Yes, you got Jerry Jeudy, nice player. But that's not as a team with a plethora of talent as they've had for the last 3-4 years. It is viewed differently. So it's ultimately, will Woody Johnson approve of Aaron Rodgers coming back? And the fact that Aaron Glenn got the job, and if that reporting is true that Aaron Glenn prefers Aaron Rodgers to be back, then I would have to think, who knows though with these owners, but you would have to think then Woody Johnson in those conversations told Aaron Glenn, you could bring Aaron back if Aaron wants to come back. But the question is, does Aaron want to come back too? And that, I don't know. Guessing Aaron Rodgers, I have no clue. But if I'm Aaron, I'm either retiring or come back to the Jets. Unless you go to Pittsburgh. And it seems like from some of the Pittsburgh reporters that Pittsburgh's not going to consider Aaron Rodgers. So this is the hiring cycle right now. We had 7 jobs. Vrabel already off the board to the Pats. Ben Johnson introduced today with the Bears. The New York Jets with Aaron Glenn. And that leaves us with 4 jobs remaining. Where the Dallas Cowboys, it feels like it's going to be Brian Schottenheimer. The Saints, I would say McCarthy, but who the heck knows? I don't think the Saints and McCarthy have even had an interview yet. So let's see what happens with after the Bears. End up going with Ben Johnson if that pushes up the process with the New Orleans Saints and Mike McCarthy. And then you look at the Raiders. They hired Spytek today, the GM from Tampa Bay, who was college teammates with Tom Brady, I think back in 1999. And Brady and him, they worked together in Tampa Bay when Brady was the quarterback there. So they get their GM. But we don't have a damn clue who the head coach is going to be. Right? Liam Cohen was speculated with the Raiders. That's not happening. If he's staying in Tampa, which he claims. Ben Johnson, we know, ended up picking the Bears. So is it Pete Carroll? Is it Brian Flores? Who the heck knows? And then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars where you got some players. You got an easy division. Now Trent Baalke's out. But how does anyone look at the Jaguars today and say, oh, yeah, I really want to go to Jacksonville after the owner embarrassed himself the last few weeks? So is it still Roberts? Imagine, Stu, because I thought today that Robert Saleh was going to be the next coach of the Jaguars because Trent Baalke is no longer, is there. Now that he's no longer there, are you really going to still hire Robert Saleh? It's like the only reason you would think you would hire Saleh is because, A, the owner's friendly with Saleh, right? Like Saleh was there in Jacksonville. So, and clearly he was friendly with Trent Baalke. So I can't put it past Shad Khan to still hire Robert Saleh. But the only reason Saleh was really going to get the job is because Baalke was still there. Now that he's not there, like Robert Saleh is a big loser, I would think, out of this. But then also maybe there's going to be a lot of people that are like Jaguars immediately know and just laugh him off the phone because of what have happened. So maybe it still ends up being Saleh. But that would be the ultimate dagger if I'm a Jaguars fan. If you knew that Baalke should have been out and you could have got Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen, now you get 0. Let's say Liam Cohen stays true to his word. All right, you get Baalke out. But if you still wind up with Robert Saleh, good luck trying to sell that hire. And sometimes, right, a coach, as you know, Stu, gets introduced and it's met with a negative reaction. The coach ends up doing well. But what makes me think that Robert Saleh, after just having all that talent with the Jets, and I know he never got a quarterback, is going to then work in Jacksonville? Outside of the fact that he's just a nice guy. Like, I would be furious if I'm furious. I'm not a Jaguars fan, and I am furious with this process. Imagine if you still make Robert Saleh your coach, just how much more salt in the wound, Stu, that does add to the Jaguars situation.
Yeah, it'd be pretty bad. With Saleh, when I saw he's getting interviews, I thought it was just for defensive coordinator. And then I saw he's getting head coach interviews. I think the Raiders are also a team that at least had conversations with him at one point this offseason.
He's a likable guy, and he's not a dummy. I know he's a consultant for the Packers, but I don't think he was really doing much on game day when I saw him in the press box for Packers and Eagles. He was sitting there at halftime, right, next to the chicken fingers and hot dogs and the drinks in the press box, that the water and the coffee that they serve, and he was mucking it up with the media members. He knows what he's doing. He's a likable guy. He's not a dummy. And honestly, Robert Saleh was a bad head football coach. But the Jets getting worse without Robert Saleh did do, I don't want to say wonders, but you get the point, for the image of Robert Saleh a few weeks later because of how bad Ulbrich in that situation was. He actually became a sympathetic figure, which is just crazy. Absolutely crazy. I thought the most I was going to really freak out today was on the Baseball Hall of Fame. I really did. And we'll get to those bozos that vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame in a bit. But I don't know how I can get more fired up than I've been the last 35 minutes. To start the show, the first 15 minutes, that's as fired up as I remember being in a long time. And it don't take much for me to get fired up. But people will be like, oh, Zach, are you a Jaguars fan? No, I'm not. I just hate incompetence. When something is so obvious and everyone's telling you something should happen and someone's just refusing to listen and they're holding on to it for like their last breath until they realize they got to let it go. And that's what Shad Khan did today. Oh, my God. That's really something. The Jacksonville Jaguars. just move the franchise to London. All right, get him out of the United States. We do not need to see that team anymore. And it's a shame because I don't think they're that far off from being able to be fixed. But with this bozo Khan and the way that he runs this organization, I don't know who's the bigger bozo, the Hall of Fame voters or Shad Khan. Now, that would be a tough poll question for Zach Gelb. That would be a tough poll question for you, boy. All righty, we will take a break. We'll come on back. 855-212-4227.
You sure you don't want to work into a full lather there a little more? I don't know if you were fired up enough.
And you got the back end of it. The first 15 minutes, I erupted like Vesuvius for crying out loud.
Somebody spike your Wheaties today?
No. I may need something to calm me down after the show. If you know, you know. I may need a Mad Dog Russo kind of diet after the show or something like that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Like, imagine that.
I imagine.
Like, Shad Khan, everyone knew that Trent Baalke should have been out.
You know what?
Besides Shad Khan.
You can make all the changes you want in the world. You can't, unless you were like, I'm blanking on the guy, Donald Sterling.
Okay.
Unless you're a Donald Sterling, you can't force the guy to sell the team.
Yeah. No, that's
what it comes down to.
So you need Shad Khan to say something offensive is what you're saying. Oh, my God. If I'm a Jaguars fan, I'm walking around with the camera on Shad Khan, trying to get him canceled. That's what I would do. All righty, we'll come on back. I will try to calmly. I can't promise, but I'll try to calmly talk about the Hall of Fame in baseball. We'll do that on the other side. Update time first. Here's the soothing voice, the calm voice of Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
We have a riddle for you. And sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. Initially, the Jaguars fired Doug Peterson and kept Trent Baalke, but today the Jaguars have fired their general manager. Aaron Glenn is next to leave Detroit. He's reportedly the Jets' choice to be their new head coach. It's a homecoming for the 52-year-old who was the team's first-round pick in 1994 and played 8 seasons in New York. Ben Johnson certainly showed why the Bears wanted him. He commanded the room in his opening press conference, looking to restore the pride along the banks of Lake Michigan.
Going into this season, I felt like this place was a sleeping giant. To be honest with you, I personally was more concerned about the Chicago Bears than I was anybody else in this division.
Johnson said he will be calling the plays as they gear the offense around Caleb Williams. The Raiders have apparently found their man set to hire John Spytek as their new general manager. The Chargers season ended with a bad loss in the wild card round. The bitter taste of defeat, not enough to send Khalil Mack to retirement. The 9-time Pro Bowler announced he'll be back next year. And the NBA has postponed tonight's game between the Bucks and Pelicans in New Orleans because of the winter storm there. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. All right. Maybe we need a little meditation here on the Zach Gelb Show. This music, I thought we were fading out there for a second. I was going to say, no, keep this music going. This kind of calms us all down on a Wednesday where I'm ranting and raving, going nuts, losing my mind, talking about Trent Baalke and the Jaguars and Shad Khan. What a dumb organization. But Baalke is at least out. Took you long enough. It's like a relative, right? That whenever you get together, you expect a gift, and that one relative never brings the gift. And you're waiting years and years and years, and that relative is known for not bringing any gifts. And then they finally bring a gift one time, and it's like, all right, it's a fine gift, but it took them so long to originally bring a gift, and you're just really still disappointed with them. That's Jacksonville today. They're the relative that you always know is cheap, that doesn't bring a gift, and then they finally do bring you a gift, and it's like, all those years happened. All those years passed where you didn't bring anything. So should I really appreciate this now? That's the Jags. Everyone knew they should have gotten rid of Trent Baalke. Yeah, we'll finally give you what you want, though. After all these coaches say, yeah, you were attractive, but now we want nothing to do with you because Baalke gave us the ick. So now we'll see who's the sucker that ends up taking the Jaguars job. It's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sports Center at Zach Gelb. Use the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hall of Fame results came out yesterday. Let me start off with a positive comment, and then I'll get to my negativity. Because that is what annoys me with the Hall of Fame. Many things annoys me with the Hall of Fame. But we don't even talk about the guys that get in anymore. It's more so who didn't get in. But Ichiro Suzuki, obviously deserving of the Hall of Fame. 99.7% of the voters did vote for him. Only one voter did not. I would like to know who that voter was, and I would like to hear his stupid reason. You got 10 votes. There's no reason to not have Ichiro Suzuki. It's not as if, I needed to vote for 10 other guys, and we knew Ichiro was going to get in. Whoever did not vote for Ichiro Suzuki, we need to examine your cabeza, okay? Billy Wagner gets in. Congratulations to him. 10th time, last time on the ballot. So congrats to Billy Wagner. I thought he should have been in years ago. CC Sabathia, easily a Hall of Famer. I didn't know if he was going to get in on the first try. And congratulations to CC. Huge fan. Big-time pitcher. Great personality. And CC, I think, is like the first new era of pitcher to get in the Hall of Fame where for him, you don't have to just say, I know other guys have got him without 300 wins. But usually that's the benchmark in the way that we look at it. Now, he is in the 3,000 strikeout club. But for CC Sabathia, he deserved to get in. But with sometimes these curmudgeons that vote for the Hall of Fame, they're just so stuck in their ways with their standard. I felt good that he was going to get on his first try, but I wasn't 100% certain. He ended up getting 86.8% of the vote, so it really wasn't close. Carlos Beltran did not meet that 75, 76%, whatever his threshold. He got 70.3% of the vote, but it's his third year of eligibility, so he's trending to be a Hall of Famer. You know, I don't really care for the Astros scandal, but I'm a little bit surprised that Beltran is this close because he got punished for the scandal, right? He basically lost his job with the Mets, and he was playing for the Astros when the scandal happened. I don't think that should keep Beltran out of the Hall of Fame, but you never know because look at the way that the Hall of Fame has treated some of the steroid guys. Also, Andrew Jones. So Andrew Jones only gets 66.2% of the vote, 8th year of eligibility. Does defense not matter? Like, just alone on his defense, Andrew Jones should be a Hall of Famer. And, you know, I talked to Tom Glavine. This is going way back into the Zach Gelb Show archives. I was actually impressed that I remembered this because this is back from 2018. This was me talking to Tom Glavine when back in 2018, Andrew Jones didn't get into the Hall of Fame. Listen up.
Andrew, you look at the body of work and particularly his first 10 years in the league. And not only was he playing the best center field in the game and maybe in the history of the game, he was also hitting home runs and driving runs in. I mean, I think, a big part of Andrew's demise, I guess, for lack of a better word, is he was really good and then the fall-off was really fast. But again, playing with the guy day in and day out, I mean, with all due respect to Willie Mays, who I never saw play, I can't imagine that there was a better center fielder in the history of the game. I know Griffey gets talked about a lot, and Griffey obviously was, a great center fielder. But I'm telling you, the plays Andrew made day in and day out were just remarkable. And, the amount of defense, they have stats nowadays, I guess, to quantify that a little bit better. But he was as good as it gets out there. And then, he had the offense to go with it. So, I mean, I certainly think he deserves stronger consideration than he's gotten. And I think hopefully over time people will come to appreciate that a little bit more. And
he's trending in the right direction. In the next 2 years, will he get in? We'll have to wait and see. But, geez, just based off his defense, pretty much what Tom Glavine said, and I don't know if you're going to the Willie Mays front of that, but still, if you're in that conversation just based off your defense, how don't you get in the Hall of Fame? But what still annoys me is I look at Alex Rodriguez, 37.1%. Manny Ramirez, 34.3%. I hate the selectivity of the Hall of Fame. I do. Where we have put guys in that have used before, and then some other guys that have used, we say, no, you're not getting in. Like Manny Ramirez is a Hall of Famer. Alex Rodriguez is a Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds should be a Hall of Famer. Roger Clemens should be a Hall of Famer. Sammy Sosa should be a Hall of Famer. Mark McGwire should be a Hall of Famer. I'm 30 years old. Those are some of the more iconic names in my lifetime associated with your sport of baseball. That's when I loved baseball. I still love baseball. But that's when I fell in love with baseball. And don't tell me that the steroid era was bad for baseball just because, we got to do what's right for the game. If that's the case, Bud Selig shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he knew what was going on. Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, right? These managers that have got in, they shouldn't get it. They knew what was going on. Pudge Rodriguez, David Ortiz shouldn't get in. If we are going to say no to some, but yes to others, that's when you lose me. And here's what annoys me with the Hall of Fame voters. You're trying to erase an era. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to erase my era. And I don't like that. They cheated. We know that. Tell the whole damn story. But you can't tell me that you want me to take that Hall of Fame seriously. And I love Cooperstown. I used to be so excited when they used to make this announcement. Yesterday, I felt nothing because I just don't even care anymore. I've been to Cooperstown 4, 5, 6 times. Ton of times. Good amount of times. I used to love going to the Hall of Fame. Now I don't give a rat's ass for it. Because you're being so selective and you're being so arrogant, and it's not a Hall of Fame anymore. It's not. Barry Bonds, one of the greatest baseball players ever. Roger Clemens, one of the greatest baseball players ever. How are they not in the Hall of Fame? Oh, they cheated. Okay, then there's other guys that have cheated that are in. It doesn't make sense to me. And also, I know this isn't a steroid conversation, but CC Sabathia gets in on the first try. Curt Schilling, I know he puts his foot in his mouth like every time he speaks, but it's the Hall of Fame based off your baseball playing abilities. Curt Schilling was a better pitcher than CC Sabathia, but he's not in. And I don't condone some of the things that Curt Schilling says. But how Curt Schilling isn't in as well, that's another joke. And he's not a steroid guy, but the steroid guys, it's, who was nice to us? Who talked to us? And Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. I think Roger Clemens is one of the biggest jerks on this planet. I hate him. I'm a Piazza fan. I can't stand Clemens. But Clemens, he's not in the Hall of Fame? Come on. So the writers have embarrassed themselves so much that the Hall of Fame has now kind of turned into something that used to be so big and there was just so much respect with it and it was prestigious. Now it's like, whatever. How do you have me take the Hall of Fame seriously when some of the greatest baseball players I've ever seen, Bonds, Sosa, McGuire, Clemens, A-Rod, Manny Ramirez aren't in, but you put other steroid guys in or people that were associated with the steroid era? That's where you lose me. That's where I'm not going to sit here and yell really anymore because it's a waste of time. We need to change the process on how to vote for the Hall of Fame. We need to diversify the vote.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Let's hope we have a peaceful second hour. The first hour was chaotic. It really was. I haven't screamed like that in a long time, but I lost my mind over Trent Baalke finally getting fired by the Jaguars. It took them a long time to make that decision, and they lost out on a lot of good coaches or people that could be good coaches along the way, and everyone was telling you you're doing something wrong by keeping Trent Baalke. But Shad Khan was like, nope, he's my friend. He's my friend. I got to keep him. I'm not going to get rid of him. He's my friend. He says all these nice things about me. Ugh, stop. Disgusting. Yuck. P.U. And I was a dope that thought that was a good job. I made that case out to be, if I was a prospective head coach, I would say that's the number one job for me this offseason. Because you look at it, maybe you get the quarterback to work. You got a good young wide receiver. You got a good young pass rusher still. You play in an easy division. You know, I could make things work in Jacksonville. There's not a lot of pressure. You know, it's not like you're going to Dallas. It's not like you're going to New York. It's not as if you're going to Pittsburgh. You don't have that many people covering the team. So I thought it was a good job. But then Trent Baalke was going to be the GM. I didn't get rid of Trent Baalke. at least with your Raiders, Stu, they got rid of Antonio Pierce, and they said, okay, we'll get rid of Tom Telesco. And for Telesco, he's only there for a year. Baalke's been there for 5 or 6 in Jacksonville. So at least the Raiders knew, okay, we don't have that attractive job. So we have to get rid of the GM to make that job more attractive. The Jaguars got rid of Doug Peterson and then said, oh, we're going to keep Trent Baalke. And that made the job from, I don't want to say, I thought it was the most attractive job in the market, but others didn't necessarily agree. But it made the Jaguars look from like good looking to then just being the ugliest person in the room. Whew. That's really something. But then finally today, okay, we'll get rid of Trent Baalke. What took so long? It's not as if you waited a week. You waited several weeks. We already had 3 jobs filled up. 3. Ben Johnson to the Bears, Vrabel to the Pats, and Aaron Glenn to the Jets. Just what a joke. Seriously. What a disgrace. A disgrace the Jacksonville Jaguars are. And I'll say this. Out of all the jobs remaining now, yesterday I said I'm just fascinated the most by who gets the Raiders job. But you got 4 jobs left. Jaguars, Raiders, Cowboys, and the Saints. So the Saints, I know Cam Jordan's going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes. I'm not really intrigued who becomes their next head coach. I think it's going to be Mike McCarthy. Like, that would be my guess. But am I confident on that one? No. The Cowboys, Stu, have you just given up on the fact that the Cowboys are going to go through like a legitimate search? It just feels like they're going to hire Schottenheimer at this rate.
It definitely does. I guess if it was Kellen Moore, it wouldn't be totally surprising, but I think it's going to be Schottenheimer as well.
I'd rather have, I don't love Moore, to be clear. I have been one of Kellen Moore's biggest critics in terms of becoming a head coach. I never got the appeal of him being a head coach in this league. But I'd rather have Kellen Moore than Brian Schottenheimer, for crying out loud. So the Saints and the Cowboys are not really intriguing. The Raiders, like, I don't have a damn clue. And now the Jaguars, I really don't have a damn clue. Like, Jacksonville now, Stu, they can, but they can't hire Robert Saleh. The only reason Robert Saleh was going to be your coach was because Trent Baalke was there. Now that Baalke's there, you got to bring in someone else but Robert Saleh. And for the Raiders, I give it's weird. Because of Brady being there, it feels like they're going to go get a coach that's a big name. But I don't think they're hiring McCarthy. They didn't get Ben Johnson. Belichick's not going there. He's staying at UNC. Vrabel's to the Pats. So it's like, right, the 2 next biggest names out there, Pete Carroll, you would say, is a big name. I think that would be a smart decision. You bring some stability like we talked about yesterday with Pete Carroll. But outside of that, like, I guess Brian Flores, I'm not going to say he's a big-time coach, but in terms of the names that are still out there, if it's not Pete Carroll, maybe McCarthy. But after that, probably Brian Flores is one of the biggest names out there. If Liam Cohen is, in fact, staying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which it appears it is, but maybe that changes and he goes back to Jacksonville. So those 2 jobs, Jaguars and the Raiders, I think are the most intriguing because I have no clue with those organizations which way the wind is going to blow.
Yeah, and I've given up on the Raiders trying to figure it out. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to dip into the college ranks for one of these guys or try to, lure a Coach Prime or someone else. So like you said, I think it's Carroll or Flores. I would think it's one of those 2 at this point. I'd be pretty shocked if it's not, right?
And you look at the Final Four from the college football playoff. You had Sark. You had Marcus Freeman. You also had Ryan Day. And then you had James Franklin. James Franklin's never going to be an NFL head coach. I don't think Ryan Day's leaving Ohio State. Marcus Freeman just signed a new deal with Notre Dame. Could he eventually leave one day to the NFL? Yes, I don't think he would do so now. Sark, I think he's coaching Arch Manning. So it's like, who could you get in college? Like, you got to go put all your eggs in the basket of Matt Campbell, who couldn't embrace Big 12 expectations a few years ago? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that whatsoever. I see some people, Chip Kelly to the NFL? Chip Kelly had good starts, horrible finishes in Philadelphia, and should have never taken the 49ers job, and he was gone after 1 year. So it's like, who then becomes the names in college? Did you see that Nick Saban? But we'll get into more of this later. He was on with Channing Crowder, and he said if he was going to come back to coaching and be in the NFL, that wouldn't be college. But do I see Nick Saban going to work for the Raiders or the Jaguars? No, I don't. And also, can the Jaguars even hire a college coach? Is that too recent in the aftermath of taking the big swing for Urban Meyer and not making it work? I know there was another coach in between, but I don't think the Jaguars could go into the college ranks unless if it's Marcus Freeman. Like if Marcus Freeman says, "Oh, I want to go be the next coach of the Jaguars," I then think you could hire him. Outside of that, I think Lane Kiffin, who I think could coach again in the NFL, I think that's a tough sell. Sark, I think, would be a tough sell. Now, could there be guys you could be talked into? Sure, but I feel as if either Flores or Cal will be the next coach of the Raiders. In terms of the Jaguars, I guess if you put a gun to my head, I would still say it's Robert Saleh, but man, that's just because how embarrassing the Jaguars are. They really are. So I was reading this article on ESPN the other day. I guess they were polling like league executives and people in front offices associated with teams. So ESPN made a few predictions based off of what individuals have said. Like individuals predicted these things. Stu, let's go through these right now. I'll start you off. Sam Darnold with the Raiders. That was one prediction. Would you want to see Sam Darnold, let's say, on a Baker Mayfield type of contract with the Raiders?
Probably not. I don't think that will age well, and I feel like after a year you're going to have a little regret with that type of money he's going to get.
So do you think the Raiders could get a quarterback in the draft? 6th overall pick. Do you think they could get either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward?
I do not. I think it's more likely they draft one in the second round or trade back up into the late first round.
Okay, so you're not having the idea that's going to be your franchise quarterback with the draft. Would you trade future draft picks, at least one future first-round pick, to move from 6 to 3 or 6 to 2 or 6 to 1? If you're going to 1, it's probably – would you trade 2 future first-round picks to go get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward?
So this year's and 2 futures. That's tough.
Because you got to swap and then you got to give additional.
Yeah.
That's what it probably takes.
It's probably what it takes. I mean, you have to love whichever quarterback you're taking, you have to absolutely love, I think so. Yeah. Would I, for Shedeur? Probably, but it's not like a no-brainer.
I could see the Raiders signing Sam Darnold. I could see it. It's a stopgap guy. You could structure the deal so it doesn't kill you. Like, you could. So I think that the Raiders with Darnold, I could at least see it. Now, for Darnold, you were in a really good situation last year. I know it had a fuzzy ending at the end of the year, but you were in a really good situation with O'Connell, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson when he came back, Aaron Jones. You go to the Raiders, Stu. Like, Jacoby Myers is solid. But really, the only offensive piece you would say, right, that intimidates you is Brock Bowers on the Raiders.
Certainly. That is the only one.
Yeah. So, it is a question of what can Darnold be outside of Minnesota. I heard in this article I read, Tyreek Hill to the Patriots. Why would the Dolphins, if they have to trade Tyreek because Tyreek's going to be a malcontent, let's just say, and let's say that he doesn't want to be there anymore, regardless of what Drew Rosenhaus will say to McAfee a few weeks ago. Why would the Dolphins then trade him in division? I would have a tough time seeing the Dolphins help the Patriots out, and they would probably trade Tyreek Hill somewhere else. So I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to the Patriots. Rodgers, the prediction was retire. Stu, with Glenn being announced, or Glenn's going to be the head coach, Aaron Glenn, and the reporting the last 24 hours says that he wants Aaron Rodgers to return. I'm assuming then that Woody Johnson approved of that, even though there was speculation that Woody Johnson did not want Aaron Rodgers back. But let's say that Woody Johnson said, yes, you could bring him back if you want. Rodgers could say, I don't want to be back. That's one. Or he could retire. Do you think Aaron's going to retire or do you think he's playing next year?
I think he plays one more year with the Jets.
I would have said he probably plays somewhere else. Now with the Glenn stuff in the last 24 hours, I'm going to say that he's playing with the Jets. So I'm going to say that ESPN's going to get that wrong. He's not going to retire. For the Steelers, it said, re-sign Justin Fields and draft a quarterback later on in the draft. That seems like, I think that if that's the way that you're going to go, I would be fine with it. I would not bring Russell Wilson back unless if you just want to say the same. But also, the one thing that I struggle with Justin Fields is they benched him when things were going well for the Steelers. So if he wasn't your guy then, why would then you bring him back and he would be your starting quarterback moving forward? So I would do that. I don't think that's what the Steelers are going to do, though, I guess is the best way to say it still.
I think that is a move they should make because I don't know anyone out there. I'm not crazy about Darnold. Mm. I mean, again, I wouldn't bring Russell Wilson back. I don't think Rodgers is realistic. I think it's what they should do, and I think it's what they will do.
Okay. You want to get a laugh? The Colts will win the AFC South. Like, based off what? Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy, and you got a clown as your GM. Like, what are we doing here? DK Metcalf to the Chargers. Now, the Seahawks, they haven't got a deal done with DK. They paid Lockett recently, but he's older. You got JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. If it's going to take you $35 million to pay DK Metcalf, who's really damn good, maybe that the Seahawks take that draft capital and the Chargers could use it. Like, oh, imagine Herbert with DK. There's really no excuses then for Herbert. You got Harbaugh and you got DK Metcalf. So I could see that happening. I would hope my football team instead of Tyreek Hill. Moving forward, I'd rather have DK Metcalf. Hill's a phenomenal player, but he's getting up there. DK's younger. That'd be good. Drake May with DK Metcalf. That would be fun. But, DK to the Chargers, I could obviously see that as well. So those are some predictions. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. A national champion. It's been a long time. Mike in Abilene, Texas. Mike, congratulations to your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Appreciate it, Zach. First and foremost, best on the air. Stu, best on the air. The rant that you just had at the beginning of this episode, just extrapolate that and add a personal bias and a personal interest, and then you know what I experienced 12 to now 16 times a year. I am 100% satisfied with the result of the national championship game.
Big of you.
Take a random poll 100 random Buckeyes, and we are still going to mention should have beat Michigan. Chip Kelly, what did you do at the end of that game to try and lose that game?
You just won a national championship. Like get off the Michigan thing.
Middle, but yeah, we're back on top where we belong. I don't know what next year will look like because we got to replace 20 starters in the NFL probably.
You'll pay people.
So we'll be okay though. We'll be back right where we belong, right back in the mix. I'm anxious to see what our QB ends up being next year. I don't know if the Alabama transfer stays. I know Air Nolan is waiting as well, but I'm also anxious to see transfer portal because Ryan Day just showed, hey, I can't beat Michigan for some reason, but if you're in the transfer portal and you want to win a national championship, you want to hand the ball off to NFL starting running backs like Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, you want to throw the ball to an 18-year-old starter on Sunday named Jeremiah
Mike,
Smith.
Mike, are you happy? Are you happy, Mike? Mike, are you happy? 1 to 10, where's the happiness level right now with Ohio State?
It's a 9.5. I expected this to happen.
It doesn't sound like it.
We should have been.
You sound like it's like a 3. Yeah, you sound like you just lost the national championship. You must have really been going crazy when it got to an 8-point game. You were probably losing your mind, right?
I was saying things about Chip Kelly that probably should never be repeated, not even in the coldest, darkest depths of hell. And I stand by it. Again, we should have beat everybody by 170 points. The Texas game was not close. We had 18 penalties. The Notre Dame game was not close. Step in and make sure that people don't turn the TV off because Ohio State's beating the crap out of Notre Dame. That's exactly what happened. They got that fumble. Great play. It was never close. They never had a chance. Nobody ever stood a chance once we decided, oh, wait, we're all a bunch of starters on Sunday. We really don't have any competition this year. Yeah. Now, again, next year, anxious to see what it looks like. This is the beauty and the curse of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to lose 5 to 10 starters every year to the draft, and we got to reload those. Hasn't been too much of an issue for us so far. I still think Ryan Day, dude, we will be that team that kicks you to the curb if you lose another one.
Yeah, you know what, Mike, though, I think this buys him some time. Yes, you got to beat Michigan, but win a national championship. If they were going to move on from him losing this year before the Natty, I don't think they're going to move on from moving forward. No. I got to let you run because I'm up against it. I got to get to Cam Jordan. But, Mike, I will say, check the mail the next few weeks because I did get you a gift at the national championship game. I think we got your address last time. I said I was going to send you something and didn't, but this time I'm actually sending you something.
Well, I hope that the address from the sender shows me how to get to your studio because I still have a ticket to come, and I need to see you
that
and
sounds a little
hold
creepy.
my end of the bargain.
Yeah, we'll get you. So just talk with Samter off the air and make sure that we have a good address for you. That's Mike in Abilene, Texas, on the show. I did get him something at the game. I saw something like, I'll get Mike in Abilene, Texas something for when Ohio State wins the Natty. We'll get to Cam Jordan next, right here on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Alrighty, welcome back in. This is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's go out to the guest line right now. I'm welcoming a man that will one day be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's played his entire career with the New Orleans Saints, and that's Cam Jordan. He joins us today on behalf of Old Spice School of Swagger, aiming to increase graduation rates in underserved communities through mentorship. Visit oldspice.com/School of Swagger to learn more. And he is Cam Jordan. Cam, appreciate the time. Wait, come on. That's not the first time you heard that you'll be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. I saw you made a face when I was introducing you.
I mean, you can't count your chickens before they hatch. You know, in my mind, I still got some years of football left to play and hopefully pursue greatness in terms of individual success. But the ultimate success is the teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, and you always want to have that come together to go after playoffs, to go after a Super Bowl, to create that last piece of, I say, legacy, but not really. You say, I feel like when it comes to winning Super Bowls, that's also like a quarterback stat, right?
Yeah.
Like you hold quarterbacks towards did they win a Super Bowl or not, versus defensive players. You hold defensive ends to how many sacks did he get. When there's all other facets that come to play. Was he able to actually stop the run? Was he a force to be reckoned with every play, or did he take plays off? Not here to judge any one person, but I say the way that I play football is the way that I take to my off-field endeavors. Everything I do is, full blast. So I'm able to rest my hat on the hard work effort that goes into each and every play, each and every drive, each and every season, each and every community event. So whether I'm on the field trying to hit people or I'm off the field trying to help the next generation, it's with everything that I am. So it's easy to be a part of the community. It's easy to be part of the Saints when your ability to give everything and try and get after everything with everything that you have is just second nature. So it's awesome to be able to partner up with, Old Spice and support their initiative, their School of Swagger, which encourages fans to become mentors for the next generation and making a difference in young students' lives, which, we all try and do. We become better people, we become a better community. I think it's going to take more of us. So you can always find out more information at www.oldspice.com/School of Swagger.
So tell me a little bit more about the work that you're doing right now with Old Spice.
Man, that's just it. I think in this culmination of being a better person, of being a mentor, of my own foundation, Cam Jordan Foundation, where I think we're launching a comic at the end of this month, which is dope. Yeah, which is a dope concept, but it's about the next generation. It's about these kids in high school trying to graduate, trying to set their best foot in the best direction, be a better version of themselves. Where the School of Swagger initiative is pairing them with mentors, helping the next generation out, and you can do that by just by logging in and learning about it.
Cam Jordan here with us on behalf of Old Spice. So I know that you just said recently that you want to play for a few more years. So retirement hasn't crossed your mind yet? Because, I just turned 30 and people now look and say, oh, like you're a lot older. You're 35 in the NFL world. That's always at the end of every season. Retirement comes up. So you clearly expect to be playing football next year is what you're saying.
I love hitting people. I wish I'm waiting to get it out of my system, but I can't. I think that of course, retirement is closer rather than farther away. But I still love the idea of getting up, working out, and being able to take to a locker room and be around teammates and having hopefully a successful season. Things definitely didn't end the way that I wanted to this past year in terms of personal and team wise. So there's a lot of vengeance in my blood for this upcoming season. I'm already calling this upcoming season into fruition as a winning season for the New Orleans Saints. And I'm just like, as long as I'm part of it, as long as I'm able to help and be on the field, I feel like that I can be a force to be reckoned with. So I don't have plans of retiring anytime soon.
And the goal, like you said, is to be back at the Saints. I know there's 1 year left on the contract. You never know if the organization elects to move on, but you would be disappointed if you got a call from the Saints and said, hey, you're going to be going somewhere else?
Hey, I had to allude to it multiple times during the season that, soldiers are don't have input on where they fight. They're just told to fight. Warriors don't worry about what's around them. they just go for the battle ahead. And that's what we'll always take the focus. Now, as a Saints organization, we have to figure out what's our head coach look like, what's our DC look like, and then we'll go from there. But it's always black and gold till probably to the death of me.
Well, there was a long time we thought Sean Payton wouldn't be going anywhere else. And then he retired, and then he quickly came back and had a very successful season with the Broncos. I know he just wrapped up his second year there. Is that bizarre to you, or is it just, hey, that's the business of football and you're immune to it at this point when you see Sean coaching with another team and going to the playoffs elsewhere?
Yeah, that's the nature of the business. I mean, when Sean left the Saints, you knew he wasn't retired. Like Sean in football makes too much sense. Sean Payton and football, it's hand in hand. When he even that year he took off, he was talking about football and broadcasting, so you knew he was coming back.
Did it annoy you, though, when he elected to come back? Because I feel, as always, he left the Saints because he didn't have a quarterback. We could say, oh, he needed to recharge the batteries. But to me, he left because you guys didn't have a quarterback anymore.
I mean, yeah, when you go so many years with having one of the greatest to ever lace him up in Drew Brees, maybe he should have signed up to the Old Spice School of Swagger initiative to mentor a quarterback for us before he left. I mean, maybe I missed something, but like when you have greatness, you might want to take that that Green Bay Packers route where you have one sitting in the chamber. Like you got Brett Favre, and then you got Aaron Rodgers take over from Aaron Rodgers. You now have the heir apparent in Jordan Love. So I wish we had the heir apparent to Drew Brees, which since he's been down, we've had 8 quarterbacks start for us or something like that. It was a stat that I heard this year, and I was like, oh, dang. It
happens real quick.
Hard to find success without consistency. And you wish that, like Derek Carr this last 2 years, when he's been available, he's been stellar.
Cam Jordan here with us. So I remember, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, I was at the Super Bowl, and we always know whenever you call it quits that you're going to be a media star. But they had you as like an in-game analyst in the stadium. So let's put the analyst hat on for a little bit. You went up against Jaden Daniels this year. I know you had 2 sacks. You guys lost by 1 as a team. But what were the impressions going up against Jaden Daniels with him playing now an NFC Championship game this weekend?
I wouldn't say we lost by 1. I would say we were close to winning by 1. We went for a 2-point conversion at the end of that game to seal it, and we just fell just shy. But that was pretty much the story of this season, was usually within about a score for differential for a lot of those games that we lost. And that's the NFL. It's a game of inches. You have to be able to overcome those to find success. And, that's why I'm quite hopeful for this upcoming year when we have the right head coach and we have the right DC and we have the right OC and we have all our players available. We can be an electric team. And that's why I'm already looking forward to this upcoming season. But when you think about Jaden Daniels and you think about Jalen Hurts and the electric style of gameplay Jaden Daniels has shown this year, he's no longer a rookie. You probably throw that rookie label off of him after 3 or 4 games this year. The way that he extends plays with his feet, the way that he throws, I mean, he's everybody. He wasn't comparing to anybody, and I'm not going to. You'd say, you've seen it before in Lamar, and that's where we're going to leave it at. You have to be able to try and eliminate his feet and make him stay in the pocket, and at the same time, he can hurt you there.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll go as far to say it already. Like, we know Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, whatever order you want, those are 4 of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. I think if you're then looking for a 5th name, it has to be Jaden Daniels already. Like, to me, he's looking like a top 5 quarterback right now. I
won't disagree, but I will never agree because you don't put that kind of expectations on rookies. It's easy in my mind. It's easier to take the league by storm for a year rather than a body of work, and that's where you see the differential. You're going to see guys take huge leaps in that second year or regress the second year. So I always leave the first 2 or 3 years to be like, all right, he's a good player, and after 3 years, be like, now where is he and how is he doing?
Let me get to the other matchup, the AFC Championship game, Cam Jordan. Geez, you got the Bills, you got the Chiefs. Here we go again. The big question is this the Bills' time? Do you think they'll get the job done?
I'd like to say yes, and at the same time, Pat Mahomes. I don't. For the world that wants the Bills to win, which I love their defensive line, the way AJ Panessa, Greg Rousseau, you've got Von Miller, of course, Ed Oliver. That defensive line looks like it'd be fun to be part of, But then you go over and say George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu,
Chris Jones,
of course. Yeah, Chris Jones, of course.
Yeah.
Leading the charge. That's a formidable defensive line in general. So for me, I'm just going to be stuck on watching the defensive lines go after. For the world, they think that Buffalo's this is their one chance to capture it, and maybe it is. But for Pat Mahomes, this is his 7th AFC championship. Man, I'm not gonna put it past Mahomes to pull one out with Travis Kelce and the likes.
By the way, since we have you here and we're talking defensive players, right? We all know what Chris Jones is, George Karlaftis, Bobby Wagner, right? When you go through Von Miller, some of the great players playing this week on the defensive side of the ball. How about Jalen Carter? I was in Philly last week, and I saw him just wreck, and I mean wreck that game up against the Rams. He's really taken a big step talking about a younger guy.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about Sweat, Smith, and then the big Georgia boys in the middle. Jalen Carter is a monster, and we knew that at the college level. So the fact that he translates to the league, not surprising, and also he's got a lot of go to him. He's got a lot of grit, and he's got a lot of speed and explosiveness at that interior position.
What is this like for you? Last thing I'll ask you, Cam Jordan, what is it like for you right now? You've been through this before, right? The coach unfortunately gets let go. You had an interim this year. Now you're sitting back like the rest of us. You hear all these rumors and all these names being mentioned for the Saints job. You clearly plan to be in the organization next year playing for them, but not knowing who your coach is that difficult right now?
For the first time in my career, I'd look at the landscape and say, I don't know who the head coach is going to be. I don't know, where the Saints will go, but I do know that the organization led by Mrs. Benson, with Mickey Loomis at helm, we want the best for the future. And in that ray of hope, there's always going to be encouraging signs where, you'd say had our roster been fully healthy the entire year, we would be sitting at a different position entirely. But with the availability, they said the best ability is availability. With availability, we'd be looking at things a little bit differently. I do believe that our team has the pieces to be special. Now, we need all those pieces to be healthy, but our team has, whether it be Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, MVS, the way he came in, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the way he came in. If we can retain him and add those pieces in, with the offensive line led by Eric McCoy and anchored by young Taliese Fuaga, shout out to Big Tally, a rookie offensive lineman that came in and played his butt off this year. We have those pieces to be great on offense. It's just needing them for 17 games, not 6 out of the 17 or 7 out of the 17, whatever they saw together.
He is Cam Jordan. He joins us today on behalf of Old Spice School of Swagger, aiming to increase graduation rates in underserved communities through mentorship. Visit oldspice.com/School of Swagger to learn more. Cam, good luck, good health. Appreciate whatever you have next in store for you.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. You have a blessed one.
There you go. Cam Jordan with us on the Zach Gelb Show. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We will get to a news brief next. First up, though, with the latest Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the coaching vacancies in the NFL are drying up, but the Jaguars still looking for one and also looking for a general manager as well, with Trent Baalke out after all this time while they were searching for a new coach. The Lions have now lost both coordinators, first Ben Johnson to Chicago, now Aaron Glenn headed to New York, where he is reportedly filling their coaching vacancy, and another assistant is leaving Detroit, Terrell Williams becoming the Patriots' new defensive coordinator, while the Bengals are naming Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden to the same post in Cincinnati. Liam Cohen is staying in Tampa. The Bucs OC pulled his name from consideration for the Jaguars job. Instead, the 39-year-old will become among the highest-paid coordinators in the league. And the Raiders have reportedly found their new general manager, set to name Bucs assistant John Spytek, a former college teammate of Tom Brady at Michigan. The Eagles' Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell both taking part in the team's walkthrough today, and Khalil Mack returning for a 12th season in the NFL. The NBA has postponed tonight's game between the Bucs and Pelicans because of the winter storm in New Orleans that has caused ice in the streets. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
For your daily news brief, we get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
So I got a few messages over the weekend, and Rich Herrera was on before me on Sunday when I was doing Sunday morning football, which you could hear coming up this Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time, about a caller by the name of Mary Jane, and she went off on Rich Herrera for his support of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And this was before Mary Jane, I guess, saw her Baltimore Ravens lose to the Bills. But she, I gather, is a big fan of the Ravens. It's a little long. I heard this one on for like 10 minutes. I think we truncated it to about 2. But this is Rich Herrera of the Infinity Sports Network with the caller, Mary Jane. Listen up.
I absolutely was offended when you tried to protect and promote what I think is just an absolute ruthless and dreadful thing that Roger Goodell did to the Baltimore Ravens in this city by announcing 1 week before they were coming in to play the Ravens that the umpires and referees were to be ultra careful to protect your stinking, rotten, as far as I'm concerned, Patrick Mahomes and, Travis Kelce and his little girlfriend. Okay? I dislike very much Roger Goodell.
Why?
I think he is a monster. I think that if I got $1 billion, I would get him out of this country and ban him from anything to do with the National Football League.
I'm fascinated.
He wanted to protect Patrick Mahomes.
He was.
And as far as I'm concerned, no, I'm a teacher. So please listen to me.
My.
Don't tell me that Patrick Mahomes is just some great guy.
But doesn't everybody love Patrick Mahomes?
He's a lousy, stinking quarterback, and he doesn't deserve protection.
Don't you think he's really good in commercials?
Roger Goodell?
No, Patrick Mahomes.
No, I think he's a joke. You know what I want? I want Lamar to go in there and just knock him to the ground and punch his ass out.
But
and
you have to protect Patrick Mahomes, don't you?
Oh, please, give me a break. He needs protection?
Yes.
What do you
Because
need
if not, all the Swifties would be upset.
You know what? You can go to hell in a handcart. You're just as ruthless as he is. Yes.
Oh, even more so.
Because then nobody can trust any game that anybody plays if they're going to get an edge from the people who are the referees to protect poor little Patrick
part of it is.
And poor little Mr. Reed and everybody connected with no.
Right, but there's a crew of just Kansas City Chief referees that call every one of their games to make sure that they protect Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce because we want Taylor Swift to be happy.
Please get a life.
That's amazing. I'm not the program director here at the Infinity Sports Network, but if I was Ryan Hurley or David Meredith, I would give Mary Jane 2 hours on the weekend. I give her a 2-hour show on the weekend. I listen to her on the overnights. Definitely. Would definitely listen to her on the overnights. That was she was crazy. She's making up crap, but she was entertaining. She called Mahomes a bum or a crappy quarterback. And then she told Rich to go to hell. That was awesome. And a good job by Rich. Just kind of keep on taking the knife and just slowly stabbing it in the back of Mary Jane. That was good. That was some good stuff. I enjoyed hearing that get truncated down to about 2 minutes. Jeez, that was something. My, oh my. Rich Herrera with Mary Jane. She's a teacher, she said? Stu?
That's what she said.
I didn't have teachers like that.
Me neither.
I wouldn't mind her being my teacher. Just get to hear all the crazy takes. Let's go to Ben Johnson. He was introduced today as an ex-coach of the Bears and coaching Caleb Williams.
Modern football in the NFL is quarterback driven. That is no secret. You can look at analytics. Right now, quarterback success is a higher predictor of winning and losing than turnover ratio, which it's been for 20 plus years. Okay, that's changed. So there's no doubt Caleb played a large component into my decision. He is a phenomenal talent that had, as many quarterbacks do, an up and down rookie year. Where I see my role is as a supporter of him. This offense will be calibrated with him in mind. We're going to build this thing. This is not simply a dropping of a previous playbook down on the table and starting there. Nope. We're ripping this thing down to the studs, and we're going to build it up with him first and foremost, and then with the pieces around him next.
Here's Ben Johnson on staying in the NFC North.
I know this is the toughest division of football right now. I've got tremendous amount of respect for the coaches and the players in this league. Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, you're talking about two guys that are up for Coach of the Year awards. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
You know who that sounded like, Stu? You have any idea? Someone that we talked about a lot this year. That gave me a little Kurt Signetti vibe. You know, basically like, Google me. You know, I enjoy beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. I'm fascinated by Ben Johnson, how we're talking about him a year from now. Because he has been touted as like the dude, the savior. Here is Amon-Ra St. Brown on Ben Johnson staying in the division going to the Bears.
We had some banter back and forth, messing around, but I told him, I said, for 2 times a year, Ben, we're going to f*** you up. He goes, I'm going to f*** you up. I said, okay, we'll see. I told him I know all the plays he likes to run. I know all his tendencies, but we were just going back and forth, messing around. But it's funny. He's like, if I want to be the best, I got to beat the best, right? I said, damn.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, I will say, Lions fans that are freaking out about Ben Johnson going to the Bears, oh, could he do this to us? He's an offensive coordinator. He stayed another year when he shouldn't have, and now he's taking a head coaching job. If he went from offensive coordinating the Lions to the Bears, I would get your gripe, but here, I do not. Nick Saban, what was the biggest professional regret that you had? This was on the Pivot podcast.
When I left LSU, that was probably professionally the biggest mistake that I ever made. Not because we didn't have success in Miami, because I enjoyed coaching in Miami, but I found out in that experience that I like coaching in college better because you could develop players personally, academically, athletically, and all that a little more than in pro ball. Even though I love the status of coaching in pro football and the kind of guys you coach, and you're coaching in the best league against the best players, I loved all that. Jimmy Sexton stood on the balcony when I was getting ready to leave LSU, make a decision about whether I went to Miami or stayed at LSU. And he said, what do you want your legacy to be as a coach? Do you want to be Vince Lombardi or do you want to be Bear Bryant? And without hesitation, I said Bear Bryant. And he said, what are you doing going to Miami then?
That's fascinating. And imagine if he would have stayed at LSU and kept on having success. Now, there's a lot of what ifs, more what ifs, when we get to Nick Saban about Drew Brees and all that drama in Miami on the Pivot Pod.
And that was the problem in Miami. We never had a quarterback, and we had Drew Brees. They are ready to sign, and the doctors failed him on a physical. And then they call me on the phone and say, you know, we don't think he can play. But Dr. Andrews did his surgery. So I flew up there and talked to him, and he said, Drew Brees will be fine. They failed him on the physical. Well, you know, you can't call up the owner and say, hey, we're going to sign this guy and give him all this money. Guy might not be able to play.
Right.
I didn't want to get in that briar patch with the owner, so I just said, okay. But I actually regretted it because that year Drew Brees plays lights out for New Orleans.
Think about it. That to me, and I've said this before, I think is one of the greatest what ifs in sports history. What if the Dolphins actually signed Drew Brees? Look at all the dominoes that would have been impacted by that. So first off, Nick Saban may have stayed in Miami for a long time. Never goes to Alabama. So Alabama doesn't get back to being Alabama. And also, if Nick Saban and Drew Brees are successful in Miami, that could have taken away some championships from the Patriots, too. And also, you never have Sean Payton becoming a star, and you never have New Orleans winning a championship. That one domino, Drew Brees saying, or the Dolphins saying Drew Brees wasn't healthy, it could have led to many dominoes that have fallen since then to never actually fall and never actually even be talked about. So that's some fascinating stuff. Nick Saban, when he returned to coaching, this on the Pivot Pod.
There's a job open in Dallas.
There's on all levels. There's college jobs, there's NFL jobs. Hell, I'll get you a job down here.
I want him to get that job.
I'll get you a job down here, coach of high school if you want to, coach. You're done. Flat out done. You'll never coach again.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's not. No, I'm not. But I don't think so. I think he is done, though. He's not coming back to college. You don't leave Alabama and then come back and coach college. And then when it comes to the NFL, could you scratch that itch? Sure, it's the one thing you weren't successful at. Like, it wasn't a disaster, he just wasn't successful at it. But right now, look at Nick Saban. You're seeing him smiling. You're seeing him having fun. You're seeing him enjoy just being able to parachute in. You come in on a Friday night, you sit down, you do college game day on Saturday, you have fun, you're with McAfee, Herb Street, and Desmond Howard, Lee Corso when he's there, and you're having a good time. Reese Davis, too. I've seen Nick Saban really enjoying life. So he doesn't need to do this. His legacy's already cemented. The only itch I think he would scratch would be going to the NFL, but I don't think he's going to do that. Imagine. The Cowboys have hired Nick Saban. The Jaguars. I'll show Urban Meyer who's boss. And then Nick Saban going to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. That would be something. I don't think he's coaching ever again. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Let's take a break. When we come on back, are we tired of the Chiefs? And also, who are 5 college football coaches under pressure for the 2025 season? Cam Lewis from the Buffalo Bills also going to join us 25 minutes from now. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Hour number 3 of our radio program, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We're down to our final 4 in the NFL. And I can't even believe it. Tomorrow, it's already Thursday. I know we still got an hour left in the show, but Sunday's coming real quick. It really is. Today does not seem like a Wednesday. I'll tell you that. I thought today was like Tuesday, if I'm being honest. I saw Hickey in the newsroom. I said, oh, my God, it's a Hot Take Hickey Wednesday. I forgot all about it. I forgot all about it. So I think Ryan's going to join us in studio tomorrow. He's like, what time am I going on? I'm like, I forgot. Yeah, Cam Jordan at 4:20. We got Cam Lewis. So the Bills coming up at 5:20. It said, you know what, Hickey? We'll punch it in tomorrow. Let's talk tomorrow. I got some good sleep last night. But I don't know why. I think the first segment and the first hour, I was just so damn good doing this job. Let me just tell you that I put so much energy out there. And I'm usually always at a 10 when it comes to energy. You don't usually listen to me and go, yeah, that Zach Gelb's boring. That Zach Gelb doesn't have a lot of energy. Some guy tweeted me. He tweeted me 4 or 5 days ago. He's like, oh, you're so boring. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to respond to you. But I'm just curious if he tweeted me before. So I went down this stupid rabbit hole on Twitter where I searched his handle with my name in it. And I kid you not, Stu. He complained about another host being boring and how entertaining I was about a year ago. Now, I think I'm the same guy from a year ago that I am now, but if we got boring, you let me know. If you hear Zach Gelb and you go, oh, this is a pedestrian talk show host, you let me know and I'll get better. But I just think that's one crazy guy. I was going to say something I probably couldn't say on the radio. But just one crazy guy that ended up not using enough Q-tips in the past year. That's just going to be me. So we'll talk to Cam Lewis of the Bills coming up in 20 minutes from now. I'll ask this simple question. Are we tired of the Chiefs? Like, if the Chiefs win a Super Bowl and they win their next 2 games, they are going to be the first team in the history of the NFL to win back-to-back-to-back NFL championships. Super Bowls. They're going to be the first team in the Super Bowl era to go back-to-back-to-back. Never been done before. Unprecedented. But the Chiefs, I will say, because of the officials and because of the 2 calls that they got up against the Texans and because of how much that they already won, in their last 3 Super Bowls, I never found the Chiefs to be unlikable. But I think this group is starting to become the villain nationally. Where last year you had that moment for a little bit. Remember when the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season and they had a call go against them where they had a big catch, I think it was to Kelsey, and it got negated because I want to say it was Kadarius Toney, maybe. Someone was lined up off sides. I think it was Kadarius Toney. And Mahomes was bitching about the officials right in front of Josh Allen. So that was a moment, not for an extended stretch, but a moment where the Chiefs were unlikable. Now, Stu, I know you're a Raiders fan, so you probably always hate the Chiefs. But in terms of national perception, like take off the Raiders cap for a second, put on the national executive producer, associate producer kind of hat on. Up until this year, did you think the Chiefs were hated? Because this is the first year where I actually sense there is animosity from a lot of football fans of the Kansas City Chiefs play.
I think this is the first year we're really seeing it, and I think it's a combination of things, but I think probably once they won last year, that's when it started to turn.
So a combination of things. I would say just because they win and the officials. Is there anything else?
I think people are tired of the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, too. I don't think that helps.
Oh, and that's coming from a Swiftie. Stuart Kovacs. If you were Stuart Kovacs, they introduced you to the Super Bowl, you would say, Stuart Kovacs, I'm a Swiftie. And instead of saying, where'd you go? Rider?
Rider, yes,
Rider?
You got it.
Is that University of Rider? Rider University?
It is a university.
So University of Rider.
Rider University.
Oh, Rider University.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say Stuart Kovacs, Rider University. You'd be like, Stu Kovacs, feeling 22, big fan of Taylor Swift. That's pretty much that you're going to.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm telling you, I really hope the Bills beat the Chiefs just for one moment and one moment only. And I'll be at the game, so I probably can't hear it anyway. But our buddy Deion Dawkins, you already Schno University. To have that at the Super Bowl, as someone, I'm no longer the dean of You Already Schno University, but there was a 2-year stretch, I will put this on my LinkedIn one day, where I was the dean of You Already Schno University for my buddy Deion Dawkins, which if the Bills, I was going to reach out. I talked to Deion today. I was going to ask him to come on the show this week, but, I don't want to bug him too much. So if the Bills get to the Super Bowl, that's when I will bug our buddy Deion Dawkins and say, okay, now you got to get on the show. Now you got to come on the show. So I was catching up with him today, but that'd be pretty damn cool if the Bills get to the Super Bowl. So we can have the dean of You Already Schno University. So that's that. The Chiefs, to me, I think people are tired, and I think it's the first time where they're kind of feeling in the villain sense. Not the villain sense that the Patriots were, but we are getting into that direction when it comes to Kansas City. Now, out of these 4 storylines, Stu, if you had to rank them 1, 2, 3, and 4, how would you rank them? Chiefs three-peating, Bills getting their first Super Bowl, Saquon Barkley, return of the running back, Eagles win it all, or the Commanders, that organization returning, Jaden Daniels being a superstar. If I could tell you, Eagles win the Super Bowl, Bills win the Super Bowl, Commanders and the Chiefs, how would you rank those 4 storylines in terms of what you would want to see?
Oh, what I would want to see. Okay.
Well, how did you think I was going to ask it?
What I thought would be the most.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Instead of what you would want, what do you think would be the most important?
I think most important would be Chiefs 1, Bills 2, Commanders 3, Eagles 4. What I would want.
I think wait, give me that order one more time.
Chiefs 1, the three-peat.
Mm-hmm.
Bills 2, just Josh Allen winning it. The Bills hadn't won in so long. 3, the Commanders, with the rookie quarterback winning, the new ownership. 3, and then the Eagles 4 with Barkley.
Am I crazy to say that the Bills and the Commanders winning it all would be a bigger storyline to me than the Chiefs three-peating? I know it's unprecedented. I know there's never been a team to win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls, and it would do so much more in already a legacy that doesn't really need to be helped out for Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes. But the Bills have never won a Super Bowl, period. And, this would be a huge moment for Josh Allen. And you look at the Commanders, you could have been the biggest Commander fan on the planet. If I would have told a Commander fan before the year, forget Super Bowl, you'd be in the NFC Championship game, they'd be like, what deal with the devil did I make that I wasn't aware of? But that organization used to be such a proud organization, and that fan base had so much apathy. I would actually think out of these 4 storylines remaining, the Commanders winning the Super Bowl would be the biggest, because it'd be the most shock. Then I would say the Bills, because the celebration that would happen with the Bills winning would be crazy. Then the Chiefs back-to-back-to-back. And then, the Eagles would be 4th. Which would kind of be, so we both agree on the Eagles being 4th. I could be sold on the Chiefs being moved up to 2 and the Bills falling back to 3. But if the Commanders win the Super Bowl, Stu, unpredictable. Jaden Daniels in year 1, right? A rookie quarterback winning a Super Bowl. And this fan base going from being the laughing stock of the league, right? Synonymous with just horrible ownership. And always the only time we're going to talk about the Commanders is when there's a negative storyline. Dan Quinn winning it all. A roster that you look at, you would never think would be in the Super Bowl. If they're there and they win it, that would be something. Now, how about what do you want?
What I want, I would say, I think the Commanders would be what I would want. I think that'd be really, like you said, cool to watch. Bills 2, Eagles 3, Chiefs 4.
Okay, so we're similar there. Chiefs 4 for me. I would say the Eagles 3. I would actually go Commanders 2, nothing against them. I want to see the Bills win a Super Bowl, and I know people are going to say, but Zach, you're a Patriot fan. Hey, I want to see the Bills win a Super Bowl because of Deion, if I'm just being honest. I'm going to college with him. But really, it's more so, imagine the celebration if the Bills win it all. Just the social media content to me would be so fascinating to watch. So that's what I would say I would want to see happen. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Connecticut. One of our favorites, Rob, joins the extravaganza. What's up, Rob?
Jack, what's up? You know Buffalo, Bills Mafia would go crazy, stupid, nuts if we hoist the Lombardi Trophy. And I am a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. And you just went way up from boring to top of the list as far as the most entertaining ever in the sports radio personalities ever. I listen to you every day, and whoever the jerk was that said you are boring, he's way out there in left field somewhere. Always enjoy listening. As a matter of fact, I think you're going to have who? Cam Lewis coming on pretty soon?
Yeah, we got Cam Lewis of the Bills coming up in 10 minutes. So it should
I'm
be
waiting
fun. Never
to
talked
listen
to
to
him.
that one, my friend. But listen, and at the beginning of the show, I just wanted to let you know that when you were going off, I was about ready to take the train. Obviously, I can't drive because I'm blind. Mm-hmm. But I was going to come down to the studio, bring my blood pressure machine, and check your blood pressure because you were way up there, kid.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Rob. Thanks so much for calling in as always and always supporting the show. Yeah, I have lost my mind many times before on the air. That's well documented, whether we were doing the weekends from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern time, in this time slot, or in the time slot before this one, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, or now the 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time slot. I'm always good for a rant. But what is my trigger? I don't speak to a therapist. But if I ever did, they're like, what's your trigger? What gets you going? It's just when incompetent people make incompetent decisions. That's what it is. And I would love to be the level of incompetent that Shad Khan is. You're a billionaire, right? Life would be easier if I had billions and billions and billions of dollars. But when everyone's telling you to do something, and it's so obvious and there was no justification to keep Trent Baalke, and you basically say if a new coach comes in and tells me, I don't want Trent, and gives me a valid reason he would be out, why are you keeping him? And already screwed you over and getting Ben Johnson. I think they'll try to reconnect with Liam Cohen, but Liam Cohen just put it out today that he's not going to Jacksonville. So the fact that it took that long to realize you messed up, it'd be one thing if you messed up, you saw the reaction, and then 2 days later you fired. You waited several weeks. And Ben Johnson saying no thank you wasn't enough because you thought you had Liam Cohen in your back pocket, and he jumped out and he ran 3,000 miles away from you. So it's like, what are we doing? But that really got me going. And that happened like 2 minutes before the show. Like, we were going to undress the Jaguars anyway because it was obvious that it looked like they were going to get Robert Saleh. Now we don't know who their coach is going to be. But when you go from that to then Baalke's gone, and we were 30 seconds away. Right? I heard the big voiceover guy go, 30 seconds remaining. Before we were coming on the show, and I go, whoa. I got in my talkback system. I go, Samter and Stu, Trent Baalke just got fired. And then Samter tried to say something to me. I'm like, not now. I'm like, because I had to think of something. And I was sending out the pre-show tweet and doing all that. And then I knew when the microphone came on that it wasn't going to take much to really get me going here on this Jaguar situation. So I think that's my trigger in life. If something is obvious and you do the opposite and it's just marinated in incompetence, that really does annoy me. But anyway, 5 college football coaches under pressure entering next year. If I had to just talk about 5, these would be the 5 I'm talking about. Mike Norvell, right? You were the belle of the ball last year. Then this year you were horrible, right? Everything just went the wrong way for Florida State. You got to get Florida State back to contending for an ACC. I'm not saying you got to win the ACC championship, but just be in the mix, because if you're not, then a lot of people are going to start to say that you're going to need to go and you're going to need to be out. You're entitled to a redemption year because of what you did the 2 years prior, but this year went so far south. Like, even people that thought the Seminoles were going to be bad, this went so far south you couldn't even imagine with what happened. Lincoln Riley, you got to get out this mediocrity. You're at USC. All right? The first year, you were very successful. You could have won that Pac-12 championship if Caleb Williams didn't get hurt, playing on one leg in that game up against Utah. The last 2 years, they've just regressed significantly. You got to show me that you could be more than a mediocre coach, or it looks like this experience at USC is just not going to work. Brian Kelly, I got to see LSU going to the playoff. Not only did you miss the playoff this year in a 12-team format, first time ever being a 12-team format, you also saw the school that you left because you said you could win a national championship at LSU. You didn't feel like you could do that at Notre Dame. You saw them go to a national championship game. Brian Kelly must make the playoff next year. Billy Napier. See, he was on the hot seat entering this year. We all thought he was fired, dunzo, with how they started off that season, getting blown out by Miami, and yet a few other games as well. And then they kind of turned the narrative around. They turned the ship around. And they restored a little confidence towards the end of the season with Florida and Billy Napier. But it's all coming down to what's DJ Lagway like. That's what it all comes down to. And we'll see what the tone is with Billy Napier after this season. And then finally, Kalen DeBoer. Year 1 in September after you beat Georgia. Oh, yeah, this team's healthy making the playoffs. Up. Alabama could be a lot better than what people were thinking they would be going into this season. Now, I don't know who's going to be your quarterback next year with Jalen Milroe gone, but you got to make the playoff. Alabama cannot afford, and I love DeBoer. I think the world of DeBoer. I've been a fan of his since Fresno State. We know what he did at Sioux Falls before that, but really Fresno State when I first start to become aware of him. And then he was wonderful at Washington, made a national championship game at Washington. Yes, folks, that's right, Washington. That's where he was in the Natty. And now you're at Alabama. So you just missed out on the playoff. Your first team out this year. You have to make the playoff this upcoming season. Also, the SEC, it's weird to say it's down because it's still the SEC, but this is now, the college football world is run by the Big Ten. Now, it may not be that way for years and years to come, right? They've taken the baton for 2 years, Michigan winning it all, Ohio State winning it all. But this is the first time we enter a college football season where you say the SEC is a premier conference. It's not based off fact. It's not based off something you could tangibly hold on to. And I think the world of the SEC, but the SEC is open. So let's see if Kalen DeBoer next year in a 12-team format can win an SEC championship or just make the college football playoffs. So those are 5 coaches I think are under pressure entering this upcoming year. All big names, all at big-time programs. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, Billy Napier at Florida, Brian Kelly at LSU with his LSU family, with the Tigers, and also Lincoln Riley at USC and Mike Norvell at Florida State. We'll take a break. AFC Championship game on Sunday. We're doing this again, right? Another playoff matchup with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, this time at Arrowhead. When we come on back, defensive back for the Buffalo Bills, also attended SUNY Buffalo. So he's like practically a Buffalo native at this point. Cam Lewis going to join us when we return in 5.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we're doing this again. It's a playoff game, AFC Championship. the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. We can't wait for Sunday. Let's go out to the guest line right now. Welcome in a defensive back for the Buffalo Bills, has been with the organization since 2019, and that's Cam Lewis, kind enough to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Cam, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm doing fantastic. I got to start you off, and we always ask this whenever we have people on that live in the Buffalo area. I know you went to SUNY Buffalo, and now you've been playing with the Bills for a while. Favorite wing spot in Buffalo, just wondering.
Now, it used to be Elmo's near UB, but now it's Bar-Bill.
Bar-Bill's the best. So
yeah, it's really good.
So I went to college with Deion Dawkins and also Tyler Medikevich, who, Deion and Tyler used to be on the Bills. But those Cajun honey butter barbecue wings from Bar-Bill.
Amazing.
Oh, like a chef's kiss. And then you got to go
100%.
blue cheese, right? You don't put ranch on those wings.
I do put ranch on them. Yeah, I still haven't got the blue cheese wave, but I'm a ranch guy all the way.
You got to be careful. In Buffalo, you say ranch, that's a problem. Like,
I know.
What's the obsession with ranch? That like broke my heart. Like, I can't root for Cam Lewis anymore now that you don't eat blue cheese.
No, man, I just grew up off, ranch, being a Detroit guy. And when I came up here, everybody was like, blue cheese, blue cheese. I just can't get with it, man. It's a different taste for sure, but I may work on the blue cheese soon. I don't know.
What has this been like for you? So you go to college, SUNY Buffalo, and then since then you were able to stay, being with the Bills for the last few years. Like, I would say that you're pretty much from Buffalo, but then, you say ranch over blue cheese, so I don't know if I could say that. But all kidding aside, just being able to stay in one spot for so many years, what is that like for you personally?
No, it's been good, man. Ever since I've got here in 2015 at UB, they've embraced me with open arms, shown me a lot of love. Like I've been here, a lot of guys call me a local guy. It's really now just my second home since I've been here, for so long. My family likes coming up here. It's not too far from Detroit, so I married my wife here, had my 2 kids here. So yeah, it's just an important place in my life so far.
Cam Lewis here with us from the Buffalo Bills. They have the Chiefs coming up on Sunday in the AFC Championship game. Before we get to the AFC Championship game, just how about the emotions of last week, man? That was some finish, and that was a crazy game up against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, man, it was a good game, man. We all knew it was going to come down to the wire. 2 good teams dueling it out, man. But I'm just glad we just got the win at the end of the day and were able to, move on to the next round.
How do you describe that environment? I've been to Buffalo for a few games. Those fans are pretty much second to none. It's just absolute mayhem. How would you describe that environment that you saw going back to last Sunday?
It's hard to describe. It's like one of those things that you have to be there to experience in yourself. The fans are insane. It was so loud in that stadium from kickoff to, the end of the game, man. It's just an unreal experience. And I know like a lot of places, especially around, the NFL don't have that, but it's Bills Mafia is second to none, man. They are insane in that atmosphere, that playoff atmosphere. Every time we are in the postseason, they take it up a notch, and I never think they can do it, but they always do it.
Cam Lewis here with us. How about that 2-point conversion? I thought Mark Andrews obviously was going to catch the ball. He didn't. Just how do you look back at that whole sequence when I know you guys knew you still had to recover an onside kick, but knowing, man, you were that much closer to advancing back to an AFC Championship game?
Yeah, it was a good feeling. Some relief. That they didn't convert on that 2-point play, man. It's just like I said, just some relief. But we know we had to recover the onside kick and then ultimately get another first down just to seal it. But just some relief, man. We've been working really hard as a unit, as a whole team, just to get to this point. It's not over yet. We still need to try to win this next game, and then we can move on from there. But just a lot of relief, man. This team is just so close together. So just like another family, to be completely honest with you. So all the work that we put in is just showing on the football field.
Does it feel like this year is different? You guys have been close for a while. I know you still have to get 2 more victories to do what you guys want to accomplish this year. But does this year feel different than the previous years?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of selfless guys in that locker room, man, that don't care about the big name recognition. They just care about doing their job and trusting in the guy next to you that they're going to do their job. And then you never. I mean, I've never been, to another team or another place, but I always hear guys that have been, that a lot of guys don't like go out to dinner throughout the week and hang with your teammates, and we do that on the regular. We see everybody every day, and at work, but outside of work, we're still hanging out. We're still going to get dinner, go to shows together, go to hockey games or lacrosse games. So we just have that family atmosphere, man, and it's been paying off on the field. Like I said, you don't want to let your brother down, and we know that he doesn't want to let you down as well.
You know what some of the outside noise was about the Bills, Cam, entering this season? Yeah. They always get close, but they don't get the job done. The AFC East got tougher. Maybe the Dolphins or the Jets will win it. A lot of people jumped off that Bills bandwagon. Did you guys hear a lot of that noise, and how much did that kind of motivate you guys to maybe prove some of those people wrong?
I mean, we've heard it. Anybody that turn on the TV or have social media has heard it, but we don't let that outside noise, affect us, what we do inside the building. We know what we need to do to win. We know what it takes, to win. And like I said, we just stayed together as one big unit and just kept our heads down and kept working. And like I said, it's been paying off so far. We still got another game this week that we have to try to be 1-0 in by Sunday night. But yeah, just staying down, staying hungry, and going to get what we want.
Yeah, and tough times, right? They build tough teams, right? This is a close locker room. It's a tough locker room. We know what the scars are going up against this team in Kansas City. You've been able to beat them in the regular season the last 4 years, but haven't got the job done in the postseason. Are those previous matchups, do they cross your mind this week, or is it just so locked in on this game Sunday and this new opportunity that you're not thinking about some of the unfortunate moments in the past for the Bills?
100%. 100% locked in just on this new opportunity. We can't change the past. We acknowledge it. We know what happened, but this is a new opportunity, new game plan going in. Honestly just treating it like a new opponent, even though we've played them a lot over the past couple of years. It's like a division rival, but we just having that locked in mentality. Like, we just need to get the job done, and that's all our focus is at.
We know the players on the Chiefs, right, and their coach, right? Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Travis Kelce, one of the greatest tight ends ever. And Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches ever. Just out of curiosity, what is it like to prepare? You guys have done it so many times, but now where the stakes are, what is it like to prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs this week?
It's a little tough, honestly, just because, we have the game plan for Kelce, you have the game plan for Mahomes, and they have some wrinkles in there. They do a lot of stuff, especially, week to week. They put some plays in that have, gave you some problems in the past. So, you just have to prepare for a lot of stuff, but you can't prepare for everything. You just, honestly, whatever our coaches shows and, during the week, highlight those, but you're just honestly just trying to do your job. Whatever call they make, we're just going to play to our best of our ability and just trying to get the win at the end of the day.
Now, I got to ask you this. You're playing in the game on Sunday. We have heard, right, so much this past week about the preferential treatment the Chiefs get from the refs. We heard the Texans complain about it a lot in the aftermath of their playoff loss. Do you feel like you're not only playing Kansas City, but you're also playing the refs coming up on Sunday?
No, we don't focus on that, to be honest with you, man. We can't control what the refs do, what they call. Only thing we can control is, what we do out on the field, our effort, doing our job, and whatever happens. We can't control the result. Just trying to put our best foot forward and try to come out with a win.
Tell me what it's like to play for Sean McDermott. It's the only head coach that you've known in the NFL, and clearly Sean McDermott took a big step the last few years, and what he's been able to do this year kind of have people believe in the Bills once again.
Yeah, man, he's a good coach, man, especially a defensive minded coach, first. This is a guy that you want to play for. Hearts on the fundamentals because, really what's the most important, especially late in the year. We do a lot of 2-minute. We do a lot of situational football. He's just trying to get your football IQ to a higher level. Just when those times, critical times in a game, you don't flinch. Such a loving guy, who harps on family first. We have walkthroughs. Saturday walkthroughs. Our family are able to come there and be a part of that as well. So you don't see that a lot of different places. Just a loving guy, just a great coach, and if I always had the chance to play for McDermott, I would.
I got to ask you about 17. We all know how special Josh Allen is.
Yeah.
I it's weird to say he's on a different level this year because he's always been a great quarterback, but to see what he's been able to do week in and week out, knowing you have that dude at your quarterback, just what's the thought that is elicited from that?
Don't let him down. Honestly, just don't let him down. His level of play is going to be at an all-time high every time you step out on the field, man. You're just trying to do whatever you can do, just to put him in the best positions to go out there and score some touchdowns, especially on the defensive end and, honestly, special teams. Always trying to get a ball back to 17. He's going to do something special when he has it.
We talked about all the Chiefs' all-time great players. You have an all-time great player on your defense in Von Miller. I know you're defensive back, but having Von being that leader on defense, what are you able to learn from him?
A lot of different things, honestly, but the biggest thing is just the mindset that he has, how he approached the game, how he approached, week in and week out. He just does the right things. That's someone you always want to learn from, no matter what position you're at. I've just been following, his lead, looking from afar, asking him different questions, my career since he's been with us. But, just always a good guy to steal little nuggets from, you just have that leadership. And he said something like a quote well, not really a quote, but in our defensive unit meeting room, you just emphasize just the love that we have as a defensive unit. And I don't think no other guys really would have respected it unless it came from, Von's mouth. There's just the type of love that we have as a unit, and just not, like I said, just not trying to let your brother down. And he just really harped on that. And I feel like that kind of said it for our unit.
I also heard that he's been preaching to everyone to eat blue cheese over ranch. That's what I heard.
Nah, I haven't heard that one, man.
That could be the difference. I think you guys beat Kansas City this week if I see a photo of you having blue cheese with your barbell wings.
I don't think it's that simple, man.
Well, you never know what's in the secret sauce. Well, hey, anyway, Cam Lewis, good luck this week. Appreciate you doing this. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There you go. Cam Lewis from the Buffalo Bills joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's take our final break of the day. We'll come on back. Update time first. Here's the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Jaguars were criticized for keeping Trent Baalke when they fired Doug Peterson, and now, weeks after that move, they fired their general manager. Another coaching vacancy has been filled, with the Jets reportedly hiring Aaron Glenn as their new head man. The Lions defensive coordinator was New York's first-round pick back in 1994. He is the second coordinator to leave Detroit after Ben Johnson left for Chicago, and also Terrell Williams is moving to New England to become their defensive coordinator. John Spytek will be in charge of the Raiders' future. The Bucs assistant GM reportedly taking over the general manager duties in Las Vegas. Scratch Liam Cohen from potential candidates for the Jaguars. He withdrew his name and instead will remain in Tampa to be among the highest paid coordinators in the league. Notre Dame's Al Golden leaving for the vacant Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator post. Both Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell were part of today's walkthrough for the Eagles. The NBA has postponed tonight's game between the Bucks and Pelicans because of the winter storm in New Orleans. And Jimmy Butler and the Heat at it again. Butler has been suspended 2 games by the team after missing a team flight. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Howie. And this is Nick. We're from the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, it is time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Gary in Jacksonville says, Zach, with Trent Baalke out, who do you think could be realistic for the Jaguars to hire? You could submit a question by tweeting at INS Sports Center at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm assuming he means for a head coach. So obviously Ben Johnson goes to the Bears. That could have been Jacksonville if Baalke was out earlier. Liam Cohen today, this was the final nail in the coffin for Trent Baalke. He goes, thanks but no thanks. I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay. So could you try to get Liam Cohen again? Yes. I don't think it's realistic, though. So I would suggest these two names. I would not hire Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh does nothing to me. It does not bring hope to the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. Nice guy. I wouldn't make him my head coach. Where the state of this organization is at, where the career of Trevor Lawrence really hangs on who they next bring in as the head coach, right? The division, they go win the division next year. Texans are good. They're not this immovable force. You have Trevor that you got to fix and have him be healthy, I think more importantly. You got a really good young wide receiver in Brian Thomas Jr., and then also you got Josh Hines-Allen, who's a very good pass rusher. You compliment him along with Trayvon Walker. I would make these two moves. I would see if Joe Brady would take the job, and he's still with the Buffalo Bills, but I would see Joe Brady. That would be the young, offensive-minded approach, try to mimic what you thought you were either going to get in Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen. I'd be okay hiring Joe Brady. If not Joe Brady, though, I would go with something that's safe. And I think Pete Carroll is very safe. Pete Carroll, to me, say what you want about how it ended in Seattle. Pete Carroll's a damn good football coach. Pete Carroll made it work with Geno Smith. Pete Carroll believed in Russell Wilson before anyone else believed in Russell Wilson. And I think Pete Carroll would bring stability to the Jaguars organization. Now, it may only be for 3-4 years, but that 3-4 years saves your career of Trevor Lawrence compared to you bringing in some other guy and it not working. And then, all right, it's the Trevor Lawrence ship has really passed you by. So I would say with Liam Cohen out, with Ben Johnson to the Bears, and now Trent Baalke out, I would try to pursue either Joe Brady or Mr. Pete Carroll. Now, I was reading today, and this is up the Zach Gelb alley. Really is. You give me a mock draft in January, I'm all in. Because at least we know the teams by then in terms of the top 10, right? But you give me a mock draft this early, I'm in. I'm in for mock drafts like in the summer. That's my one football nerd thing. You give me a good mock draft, I love reading a good mock draft. So Mel Kiper, right, the godfather of mock drafts, he put together a mock draft for 2025, and it was, I saw it via On3, new 2025 NFL mock draft for Mel Kiper. Give you the top 10 picks. Bears in at 10, Will Campbell, LSU. 9, Will Johnson out of Michigan. Jalen Walker out of Georgia to the Panthers. You know, Will Johnson going to the Saints at 9. Jalen Walker going to the Panthers at 8. Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, who's a stud, going to the Jets at 7. McMillan, the sensational wide receiver, who some believe could be the best wide receiver in the draft, maybe even better than Travis Hunter. And at 6 to the Raiders. You'd be good with that, Stu, if you got McMillan?
He's a very good player, so yes. I would love a quarterback, but that seems like it's going to be pretty hard to do. Yeah, you're not going to get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders probably there unless you trade up. So you have McMillan, you have Bowers, makes the destination a little bit more attractive so you the head coaches for whoever your next quarterback is going to be. 5, Jaguars go with Mason Graham, who's a stud out of Michigan. You know, he was one of the better players in football this past year in college. But think about the way that he wrecked that Ohio State game, what Ohio State did up against everybody else. You know, that was a Mason Graham masterpiece. Like, if I'm Mason Graham, a team's like, why should I draft you? I'd be like, turn on the tape against Ohio State. That's what I would say. Ask how many gold pants Ohio State got when I was on the football field. That's what I would say. 4, this would be great. Abdul Carter
to the New England Patriots out of Penn State. I'm looking for a reason to root for Penn State, right? Zach Gelb, always looking for a reason to root for Penn State. I really want Abdul Carter. I would actually be disappointed at this point if the Patriots don't get Abdul Carter. Now, if they get Travis Hunter, I wouldn't be all that upset if he did fall, but I really want Abdul Carter. I think this dude is going to be a stud. I think he could be like Micah Parsons. I really do. And he doesn't have that much experience. Now, the way that he plays, yes, I know most people say, oh, Zach, you want an offensive lineman? Yes, you want a wide receiver. Go get that stuff in free agency or later on in the draft. But an elite pass rusher, I'm not passing up on that. Shedeur Sanders to the Giants in at number 3. Travis Hunter, according to Mel Kiper, in at 2 to the Brownies. And then in at number 1, Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans. So, Mike Borgonzi. It's a good name. Borgonzi. Who used to be with the Chiefs, is now the GM of the Tennessee Titans. He talked about how they're not going to pass up on a generational talent in the draft with the number 1 overall pick. That was pretty much the genesis of the quote with Mike Borgonzi. It was, quote, "We won't pass on a generational talent." So the question then becomes, who's the generational talent? Because I don't think Shedeur Sanders nor Cam Ward are generational talents. Like coming out of college, not that all these guys have aged well, Caleb Williams, generational talent. Andrew Luck, generational talent. Trevor Lawrence, generational talent. Like just some of the quarterbacks. This has not been, oh, Shedeur Sanders, generational talent. Sure, I think we all say really good. We'll see how great he could be. Cam Ward, really good. We'll see how great he could be. So you look at generational talents. Stu, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, Travis Hunter. 2-way player, wide receiver, defensive back. But Adam Schefter was on WEEI up in Boston with their new afternoon show. I know our buddy Fitzy's on there. Ted Johnson is now a co-host there. I think Andy Hart is also on that show. But they have Schefty on each week. And this is Adam Schefter, right? Who's the generational talent, right? It's a big thing for Patriot fans or the Pats organization in NF4. And this is what Schefty said.
Titans president of football operations, Chad Brinker, at today's press conference. We won't pass on a generational talent with the first pick in the NFL draft. If you had to guess, not holding your feet to the fire per se, but if you had to guess, who do you think that generational talent might be, or do you have any intimations as to which way the Titans would be going?
The defensive lineman from Penn State or the wide receiver cornerback from Colorado. That quote told me that they are not locked in to take a quarterback at 1. That is not what New England wanted to hear. That quote today.
No, it was not, sir.
Certainly not.
Are they really? Like, I'm even struggling to say it. Are they really going to pass up on a quarterback at 1? You got Mr. Mayo boy there. And Will Levis, you don't believe in him. The coach is going to lose his mind. Forget lose his job. He'll lose his mind if Will Levis is a quarterback next year. You know Mason Rudolph isn't the quarterback. Like, Stu, I don't see how they're taking Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And, hey, Schefter knows stuff. But I don't see how they're taking Hunter or Carter in at number 1 if Tennessee's keeping the pick. Right?
Yeah, that's tough. You would think at that point they would either trade it or, I don't know. I just feel like being at 1, you almost have to take the quarterback. That's tough.
Now, the draft is in late April. So by then, could they already have their quarterback situation taken care of? Like, is Darnold going to Tennessee? Is that what they're doing? Is Aaron Rodgers, who has a home in Tennessee, in Nashville, is he going to the Tennessee Titans? Like, that's the only way I think you pass up on a quarterback. But if you don't address, and I mean seriously address, not like Band-Aid, we're going to go bring in, whatever backup.
Gardner Minshew.
And Gardner Minshew, sure. Thank you, Stu. I knew you would have a name there. You guys have pretty much a Band-Aid each and every year. That's the case now. That is where you have been kind of put to. But if you're bringing in Gardner Minshew, that doesn't exempt you from taking a quarterback. Doesn't preclude you from taking a quarterback. So unless you go get a Darnold or a Rodgers, I think they take a quarterback. Maybe this is them trying to trade out of the pick, though. Like saying, oh, we won't pass on the generational talent. And then maybe, I don't think that makes more teams call, but maybe more teams do call. But you don't need to have that many smoke screens when you're number 1 team picking. Unless the Browns really want to come up to 1 and you fall back to 2 and you're fine with either Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I don't know. But I would still be surprised. If you say right now, gun to your head, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, one of them with Tennessee, yes. I wouldn't say no. And then 1 and 2 is going to set the foundation for this draft, the obvious statement. But usually we know the picks. I still think it will be quarterback, but will it be quarterback? Will there be 2 quarterbacks taken in the first 2 picks, or will it just be 1? Because the Giants want to get a quarterback. So I think it will go quarterback, and then Travis Hunter 3, and then I would say Abdul Carter 4 to the Patriots. That's what I think the way it's going to go. And quite frankly, I would not be disappointed if, let's say, Cam goes to Tennessee or Shador goes to Tennessee, and then the other one goes to Cleveland, and the Giants get Travis Hunter, and then the Patriots end up getting Abdul Carter. I want Abdul Carter. Drake May, Abdul Carter, Christian Gonzalez, get some foundational pieces once again in New England, because we got to make the Patriots great again. That's what we got to do. It's been a long time. I haven't had a championship in a while now. 6 of them. No, I haven't seen one since, what was it, February of 2019, I think? Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time. It's lonely, right, Stu? You wouldn't be able to know that pain. All those years of me not having a Super Bowl.
Never. No. Certainly not.
How old do you think you'll be when you see a Raiders Super Bowl?
If I see a Raiders Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm saying, you take that or you want to throw a number out there?
I'd say 60. I don't know.
Okay. Stu at 60. Have a cat and a bunch of ranch, I'll tell you that. Cam Lewis, man. Takes balls, by the way. Player for the Buffalo Bills, admitting that he eats that crap ranch over blue cheese. You know when you know that you haven't won this debate? When Santer's fist pumping during the interview because he loves ranch. When you agree with Santer, geez, that's not good. Not good. Anyway, we'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. Cam Jordan, thank you for stopping by. Big thanks to Cam Lewis as well. Santer, Stu, Ack, each and every one of you. Appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.